Goodness sake,
that
honest
was
to God.
I just said he fell on his sword, that's all.
Now, moving on to the FA Cup tomorrow,
Can
of
I
course,
just interject
for
with
some
the
unknown
first,
reason, you seem to think that Lincoln City have got some sort of a chance.
Well, they have got a chance. I mean, look where they are, right? Now, you've said before, and you know this because you are indeed a seer of many things, including football history.
Yes.
You will know that to be a successful football team,
Yes.
it's far better, even if it's in a lower division,
Yeah.
than to be an unsuccessful team in a higher division. So at the moment, they've only lost 4 games, right? They're riding right at the top of League Two, right? Which means that they're a winning team. They're playing Everton at a very weak time in Everton's sort of history.
Yeah.
Everton are not having a good time at the moment, which you would agree with, I think, wouldn't you? I mean, you've been slagging them off every second week.
We're having a troubled time.
Yeah, but I mean,
we're having a troubled time. Very troubled time.
Even you would admit that Everton are not playing the way that they ought to be playing.
I know,
considering the amount. You're always going on about how much money they've spent.
But you made some reference there to, it's better to be doing well in a lower league
It
than
is.
not in. But I wouldn't know anything about lower leagues. Everton have never been in a lower league than the top leagues. You know what I mean?
But they haven't won anything.
How would I know?
They haven't won anything this century, right? They haven't won anything this century. Lincoln will probably win League Two this season.
Wowee!
Right?
Wish I was a Lincoln fan.
Well,
what's the name of the brothers who run it?
The brothers?
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the name?
I was trying to find this out before the show, but they're called the Caldies. The Caldies. They're called the Caldies.
Caldies.
C-A-L-D-Y-S. Caldies. The
I
Caldy
told
brothers.
you the name of the chairman, haven't I?
What's his name?
The chairman is an Evertonian.
His
name is Nates, a lifelong Evertonian.
What's his name?
His name is Clive Nates.
Clive Nates.
N-A-T-E-S.
N-A-T-E-S.
Apparently he's a lifelong Evertonian.
Well, he must be a local sort of quite well-to-do businessman in Lincolnshire now, is he?
I think he's originally from South Africa.
Originally from South Africa?
Yeah.
So what's he doing supporting Everton?
Well, I don't know.
We've only ever had one South African player in our history, since 1878.
Hardly any football teams have had South African players, but they have fans in South Africa. What's wrong with that?
Anyway,
the World Cup was in South Africa.
The old Caldy.
You went to it.
Yes, I did actually. Yeah, the Caldy brothers.
Yeah.
Right, who run Lincoln.
Yeah.
They're quite different because they run it as a sort of duo. Are they twins?
What?
Are they twins?
I have no idea.
The Caldy twins.
Caldy twins. Are you sure you ain't got the name right?
No, I've got the name
right.
right.
It's like Carly.
No, Caldy. It's Caldy. Funny enough,
why do you think they're twins?
Well, because they're brothers, and they could be. See what I mean? By the way,
are they identical?
There is a connection here because on the Wirral, not very far indeed from Prenton Park, there is a grammar school called Caldy Grammar School.
Caldy.
How about that?
Well, that's all right if it's the same name.
It is. It's spelled the same way.
Are you sure?
But these Caldy brothers, they're being sort of hailed as revolutionary, but I mean, you're talking Lincoln here, man.
Is it like Moneyball or whatever they called it?
Eh?
Moneyball.
What do you mean? What's Moneyball?
Moneyball is the way that people run football clubs now, right? They're doing it at Brentford. They're doing it at Liverpool.
Sorry, what is Moneyball?
Moneyball was invented by an American baseball owner.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and it was all about buying low and selling high, buying young players, making money out of them, selling them on, and making the club into a wealthy, self-perpetuating financial instrument.
I do not remember any Lincoln players suddenly aspiring to play in the Premier League or anything like that. By the way, I better tell people, if you want to get in touch with the show, give us a call.
By the way, the brothers are called Cowley, as in the car plant.
Cowley.
Remember Cowley? Austin Cowley.
Yeah, Cowley.
They used to make Austins, right?
They're called Cowley.
C-O-W-L-E-Y.
What's the other Cowley that we know throughout our lives?
Cowley?
Yeah.
Well, I've told you Austin Cowley, where they used to make Austins.
Well, I used to work in the Midlands in the car industry. I knew Cowley.
You used to work in the car industry?
No, I used to work in the Midlands, where the car industry is based.
Okay.
Richard Littlejohn was the industrial correspondent of the Evening Mail when I was there. He spent every day with people like Red Robbo at Cowley.
Okay.
Cowley was, in fact, outside of
They were
Birmingham.
on strike, weren't they? Did it not turn out to be British Leyland in the end?
Yeah, it did. Cowley was, in fact, down in Oxford. Cowley was near Oxford, and that was one of the plants, but it was removed from Birmingham.
By the way, I meant to ask you, you're an expert in the North East.
I am.
Darlington, the Northern Echo buildings, you know that?
That's right, yeah.
They're flogging it.
I took my NCTJ final test there, the National Council for the Training of Journalists.
It's a big
final test,
Victorian-looking building on the corner.
It is, yeah.
Do you know what? I wondered if you might be involved actually, because they're apparently converting it into luxury flats.
Well, I'm going to have a look. It's
Darlington.
It's a good tip. No, the other Cowley that we know, right, is remember CI5.
Hey?
CI5?
CI5?
Yeah,
was that thing that Sinclair built, the car?
No, it was the Professionals, wasn't it? Remember the Professionals?
Okay, yeah.
You know, CI5.
Oh, yeah, Gordon Jackson.
That's right, yeah. Well, what was Gordon Jackson's character in there?
I don't know.
Cowley.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
He was Major Cowley. I
didn't know that.
He was the head of CI5. He used to go around blowing people away.
He once crashed into my mother's car, Gordon Jackson.
Really, yeah.
She was driving around in Hampstead one day, and he came roaring around a corner in his massive great Rover straight into her car.
Brilliant.
Apparently he was quite charming.
I'm sure he was. He had that wonderful Scottish accent, a bit like Mr. George Galloway.
He may or may not have been in the pub.
Yeah. Well, I remember Freddie Starr one, because also...
Why are we talking about this, by the way? It's the FA Cup weekend.
Yeah, Gordon Jackson was also the butler, wasn't he, in Upstairs, Downstairs?
He was, that's
right. And I remember Freddie Starr once did a skit on the butler serving the whiskey, because every time the butler was serving the whiskey, apparently, Upstairs, Downstairs, he took a nip himself, you know what I mean?
Right.
So he ended
in real life?
Yeah, completely bladderated, you know. Yeah. But anyway, look, getting back to Lincoln, because Lincoln are in the FA Cup tomorrow playing Everton.
I'm seeing Danny Cowley.
3 o'clock, Danny Cowley, don't know him, no.
Well, Danny, he's the Lincoln manager.
Oh, I see, okay,
well, you don't know him.
Well, I think there's 2 of them, isn't there? Anyway, what I was going to say is, did you know that Lincoln, the name of the city, has connotations to Robin Hood and Sherwood Forest?
Does it? Well, that was in Nottingham, wasn't it?
Yeah, but what's the connotation?
Well, I don't know. What you mean? There was a Lincoln Green, wasn't there?
Exactly, they all dressed in Lincoln Green.
Yeah.
All them.
Was that made in Lincoln? Lincoln Green?
Well, I think there's got to be some connection.
Well, there's a Lincoln Town Car that you can sit in America. It doesn't mean anything to do with Lincoln.
And who was the first post-Civil War president of the United States of America?
What? Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah.
What's that got to do with
In fact, he was in charge during the Civil War. In fact, he won the Civil War, didn't he?
Maybe
just remembered.
Or maybe the mascot of Lincoln City FC could walk out with a stovepipe hat and pretend he's Abraham Lincoln, former president of the United States of America.
Yeah, but if he
what
did...
the hell are you talking about?
If he did...
Somebody might shoot him.
Somebody might shoot him, that's absolutely right. Because I'm afraid that Abe came to a very sad end at the Ford Theatre in Washington.
This is complete... Can we start this show again, please? We're talking about the FA Cup. We're taking calls. We're talking to Harry Redknapp as well. This is, of course, the 2 mics.
And by the way, I want people to get in touch. So I've given you the number.
Give me a number.
08717 223344 for the Lincoln Green hotline. Or text us 81089 or tweet us. Or tweet us at the 2 mics or at IROMG, Independent Republic of Mike Graham, or at Mike Parry 8. We want to hear from you. The show has only just begun. Guest coming up, haven't we?
We have. Gary Hutchinson is a Lincoln super fan, right, and a former mascot. And if you know what the mascot of Lincoln is, you will recognise...
He's the devil, isn't he?
It's not the devil, no.
Oh, they call the devils?
It's an imp.
Oh, the imp, that's right, the Lincoln imp.
The Lincoln imp. The Omen you're talking about.
Yeah, no, that's
it's
right.
Lincoln City Football Club.
That's right.
You know, the Exorcist is not required.
That's right.
Gary, a very good evening. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Now, it's easy to see how Porky would have mistaken you for the devil. But since that's not actually the case, tell us how much you think you're catching Everton at a good time.
Yeah, it seems that we're catching them at a really good time. It's interesting to listen to the comments about Jordan Pickford, because I actually watched him concede 5 goals at Sincil Bank for Darlington. I think he was on loan at. So we've got form of putting the ball past him. Obviously, we've got form in the FA Cup as well, surprising the big guns. So there's no better time, is there, to be going to Goodison?
Okay, Gary. So he was playing for Sunderland then as a young man, was he? And he was out on loan at Darlington. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
yes,
he was out on loan, and we gave him 5-0.
Now, Gary just made the outrageous statement that you've got a history of giant killing. Which giant have you killed then lately?
Well, Burnley were a Premier League team, and we were a non-league team. I'd call that a pretty big one.
Burnley?
How long ago was that, please, Gary?
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
That's not long ago.
No, hang on. So
that's stitched you up, isn't it?
So no, it hasn't stitched me up at all. You were non-league and you knocked out Burnley, is that right?
We knocked out Premier League Burnley on their own ground.
That's brilliant.
Do you know what? That's a fantastic result.
Because was that not when Jerry Barton was playing for Burnley?
Yeah, it was.
And I remember. Do you remember there was that horrible incident in the penalty area where he sort of tried to stamp on somebody and then fell over and pretended that he'd been injured in order to try and get a penalty? That was that
same
game,
was it? Yeah. Well, that's.
Don't mind if Gary answers the question.
No, that's fine.
That was the same game, Gary, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I remember that. So that was a massive giant killing.
Okay. Well, that's not bad. That's not bad, Gary. But I mean, tomorrow you're going to Goodison Park. Have you been to Goodison Park before?
No, I've not had occasion to go.
Well, wait till you get there, mate. Wait till you get there. The Goodison Roar hits you and burst your eardrums, and then you'll realise what a Premier League ground looks like and sounds like. I've got a lot of respect for Burnley, but they have got a rather dilapidated sort of stadium compared to Goodison. But that's all I wanted to say.
Lincoln's a very beautiful city, though, isn't it? Tell us about Lincoln, Gary, because it's got a famous Roman trail. It's got a great cathedral.
Yeah, but it's in the middle of nowhere, isn't it, Gary?
You've often said, no, it's not. It's in the middle of Lincolnshire.
Yeah, well, that's nowhere.
No, it's not.
It is.
They make Lincolnshire sausages there, which are
yeah,
rather
right.
good.
Well, nobody eats those except people in Lincoln.
And do you know what they've got? They've got a Battle of Britain Memorial Flights Visitor Centre, and you, of all people, should at least take your hat off to those men who fought in the Battle of Britain.
I certainly would. But, I mean, let's face it, Gary. I mean, Lincoln's never going to attract sort of footballers who are ambitious, are they? Because Lincoln is a backwater.
Oh, I wouldn't agree with that at all. I think we've got the most ambitious young managers in the lower divisions.
Yeah, do you happen to know, by the way,
Cowleys
thinks the Cowleys are twin brothers, are they?
No, they're not twins. No, Danny's a little bit older than Nicky.
Is he? Yeah, okay.
They are brothers.
Can you tell them apart?
One of them talks an incessant amount, and the other one is quiet and withdrawn.
Oh, that's right. I see. Strong, silent type, and the guy who's garrulous. I understand. So Lincoln go to Everton, the highlight of their season. But you have had a great number of low seasons, haven't you, Gary? As the mascot of Lincoln, you must have gone to some really godforsaken places like Spennymoor and places like that outside of the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, I wouldn't say tomorrow's going to be the highlight of our season. I think when we win League Two, it'll be the highlight of the season.
Sorry, you're going to Goodison Park tomorrow, mate.
That's going to hurt. Paul.
You're playing
not even the highlight of the season.
You're playing on the same ground tomorrow as Dixie Dean, the all-time leading scorer in football in this country.
Yeah, 2 years ago we played at the Emirates in the quarter-final. So tomorrow's, it's an anti-climax, I would say, really.
Is that right, Gary? Is that right?
I'm liking Gary a lot. I think
I tell you what, Gary, is there a river that runs through Lincoln?
There is indeed, the Witham.
And, well, over the years, you must have had the urge to throw yourself in that quite a few times, wasn't you, eh? After, another bum result at your... What's your ground called, by the way?
I think you'll be very disrespectful to Gary. Gary is just talking to you about a massive cup run, which I remember very well, within very recent times, 2 years.
We all remember.
And you'd forgotten about it. You can't remember what you had for lunch. The point is that you should be more respectful to Gary, and if you want to be properly welcoming to a visiting supporter who's going to Goodison for the first time, I don't think you should be quite so dismissive.
Well, I don't think Gary should be quite so dismissive about going to Goodison Park. Goodison Park, by the way, Gary, I don't suppose you've got any real stands, have you, at Lincoln's ground? Goodison Park was the first ground in the world to construct stands, that is, a raised area above the standing areas on all four sides of their stadium. You know that, don't you?
It's fascinating. Our main stand has got uninterrupted views of the pitch all the way around.
There you go.
Is it? Yeah.
They're
so what?
Saying that actually Lincoln City's ground is better than Goodison Park. That's why Goodison Park's clean shut down. It's condemned.
No, Goodison Park is not being shut down.
Yeah, it is.
Goodison Park.
Well, what are you going to do with it?
Goodison Park will be redeveloped as a useful facility for the local community when we move to our new stadium.
So it won't be a football stadium anymore, will it?
Sorry?
It won't be a football stadium.
Well, of course it won't if we've got another one. I mean, goodness sake. Look, we're supposed to be talking to Gary here. Gary, what's the best you can hope for tomorrow?
The best we can hope for, I think, is probably a draw in all seriousness.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game, isn't it? I mean, we might hit you on the break, we might get a goal, we might shut up shop and get a win, but in reality, it'd be a long shot.
Well, let me tell you, Gary, you're very welcome at Goodison Park. And,
that's nice, finally.
And so are all your fans.
How many fans do you think are going to get up there, Gary?
5,500.
That's brilliant.
Well,
that is fantastic.
That's amazing. That must be a record for a number of people leaving Lincoln in any one day in history, ever since the Robin Hood days. So I welcome you all.
Took 9,500 to Arsenal for the quarter-final.
Yeah, well, I mean...
So you got that wrong as well.
No, I didn't get that wrong at
all.
No,
they took 9,500 to Arsenal.
Well, yeah, but they got further in the FA Cup. That was further on in the FA Cup. This is the third round.
Still not the most people.
Don't worry about that.
I'm
anyway,
Gary, listen, good luck, mate. I'm with you all the way. I'm supporting Lincoln all the way through this weekend. So good luck.
Send my regards to the Cowleys.
I will do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary Hush. What a nice man. You were terribly rude to him.
I wasn't rude to him.
You're supposed to be welcoming to these people.
I was very welcoming. You heard what I had to say.
I love that you got everything wrong as well. Let's talk to Tom.